Michelle.
Hello to all you other wonderful weirdos watching.
So I finally finished My Firends by Fredrik Backman. I think the last time I showed this it was just under 50 pages into, or less than 50 pages in, and I was already experiencing emotional whiplash, seriously laughing out loud and sobbing at what we got within the first few chapters. It only just continued from there, and when I got about halfway, I thought I had managed to build up that defense against how emotional this was, only to get hit by something and the waterworks would start up again. So this is a very emotional book, and I didn't want to put it down because it was so funny, it was so heartwarming in places, and it was soul crushing in others. I do have a lot of praise for this book, as well as maybe one bit of criticism that I kind of started getting very agitated over whenever it popped up, but ultimately this was such a good book. There are two plot lines, one from the present day following Louisa, who is just broken into an art gallery just to see a painting that she had a postcard of, and the other plot line is how the painting came to be way back in the childhood of the artist that would be known as Siyat. And I'm trying to remember, the European J sounds like a Y, so if I do slip up, it's because I read it, not listened to it, so it's not cemented in my brain. Where do I start? Honestly, I think I want to talk about Louisa's storyline first, just because we get a decent chunk of it, but at the same time, it's sidelined halfway through the book. It's very compelling at both the beginning and at the end, but at the middle bit, Louisa's storyline, it dragged a little, and it was just okay, but can we please get back to the other story? I want to know what's going on. I don't care what's going on with the train shenanigans that's happening in between, because in the very beginning, we have Louisa getting kicked out of the art gallery, bumping into the artist that painted it, and then we have Ted, who comes into the picture because he kind of went into the gallery to buy said painting back for the artist so that he can have it back. It's his first ever painting, and it means a very great deal to said artist. And then Louisa gets gifted said painting, and she's trying her best to give it back, whilst also be so weirdly funny, because she kind of calls out to Ted as he's trying to leave to go at the train station, and she's just shouting across the street going, "Is it you who farted?" Because she recognised that there's people in the painting and they are laughing as if one of them farted, and they're all in that joy of just teenage stupidity and just goofing around. Yeah, because she's one of the people who sees that there are people in the painting, which is a very rare thing to do unless you are actually studying the painting, because in the art gallery itself we are surrounded by stereotypically rich people. Basically, not a single one actually knows that much about art, but it's also, from my own experience in the art world, you do get that weird thing, because there's this one scene where she graffitis in the toilet. Somebody actually finds said graffiti, and there's this whole discussion, if there's no price tag on it then it's not art, which that's exactly how the rich would view something, as in if it's free it's not worth anything, where in actual fact the things of great value are often free, like human kindness, for instance. It symbolises that disconnect that this group of people have, because they can't see the group of friends in the painting, and it's cleverly hidden within the brushstrokes and also in the name, because it is called The One of the Sea. So people see the sea in that painting and not the Friends in there. And so that lovely commentary on it kind of comes back throughout. It does get a little tedious, her storyline, after they get on the train to go to Ted's home, and she's basically planning to ditch him with the painting because she has no idea how to like deal with this, because she can't sell it without being accused of it being stolen, because she is homeless. She's sleeping rough in cars right now, and she will not survive with this very valuable object that she will be targeted because of. So she just wants it to be handed back. And so she's trying to get rid of this painting by leaving it with the person who bought it, with Ted. Yeah, and so the ways in which they try and leave each other on this train is just like, it kind of drags a little in the middle, but at the very end, that's when they finally get off the train to their destination, they can finally have it's exactly like it was at the beginning, where I am enjoying spending time with this group of people in this present moment of time. Whereas halfway through, it just did feel like I just want to get back to finding what was going on, like with the kids in the story. It kind of reminded me, I kept thinking this is exactly like that bit in the Lord of the Rings movie, The Two Towers, when they kept cutting back to Frodo and Sam, and all I'm just like is get back to Helm's Deep. They are in the middle of a siege right now. That's the feeling I got, as I did not care about what was happening there. I need to be over here. This is where this is where the action is. I need to know what's happening over here. And because of the way Backman is writing, there's a cliffhanger at the end of every single paragraph, and you think it's going to twist the knife even further when like people do certain things, and it's just like because the story of the painting is quite horrifically tragic, and you think it's going to get worse, because the story of the teenagers in the painting is quite a tragic one. The artist in question, the artist who painted it, he has been basically emotionally abused to a point where he thinks he's not normal, and his parents are trying to tell him be normal, and it's that pressure on that, like forcing him, I'm sorry, I can't be like everybody else, and feeling guilty because of it. And his friendship with Yor is absolutely beautiful, and they've been friends for as long as either of them can remember. Yor has an even worse situation, with the trigger warnings being domestic abuse. Right out there, Yor's backstory is horrific. Like, his old man is called old man because he refuses to use the word dad, because the two do not coincide whatsoever. It is pretty horrific how cruel this man can be. They are rescuing a bird who can't fly, and he takes it to his mum because she keeps things alive. They even got the flowers on the plant boxes. She keeps those alive. It is her thing that she's able to do. And so Yor's solution to this bird is to take the bird to his mum, who will keep the bird alive. And she is also quite a heartbroken story, because she is the victim of domestic abuse through and through, to the point where the whole town refuses to see anything but what she's put out. Like, she's really masking it. People, they talk about her behind her back. They think she's so stupid because she like tarts herself up, and yeah, but she's actually pretty smart if you actually took the time to get to know her. She knows constellations. She taught her son how to skate. The way she keeps the bird alive is with a straw and like putting her finger on the top and using that. So she is smart. She's just constantly telling people, oh no, you know how I am, like clumsy me, I tripped over. And it's just, this town is complicit in the domestic abuse as well, because certain far down the line we get the fact that the men at the harbour who pick up yours old mans to pick him up to go to work won't say anything. They've got to be the right kind of man, just so that to have somebody watch your back, if you can't say anything to this person in a negative light, despite what is going on, because he might need to have your back. Yeah. And so if you see that he's got makeup on his knuckles or specks of red on his shirt that he claims is paint, you say nothing. The implication that the whole town probably knows about this but does nothing because they're not asking for help, and quite frankly, if they do, and he does the abuser goes to prison, there's only amount of prison time and before he's released, and the world is not big enough for them to run away from him. This is so heartbreaking that because of how cruel the old man is, he actually tries to stamp on the box they keep the bird in, but they were able to swap the bird out, because it was that drop in your stomach when Yor and his mum are laughing, and there's the line going, they didn't hear the key scratch in the door, and there he is looking on their joy, and the whole place goes quiet, and then we are transported back to the train with Louisa and Ted. So yeah, it's not even the worst of it, because we also have, because of the type of town it is, they kind of have to try and stay on the good side of the people doing the beatings. Like Ted's older brother, he was part of this group, and the guy in charge is basically the ringleader, and he has to do a lot of terrible things, including push his little brother Ted down the stairs and lie about it so much that Ted thought he tripped down the stairs, like the lie, that he literally believed that was what happened. Yeah, this was pretty shocking. That I hated when they were making up, and how Ted was saying, no, you're not a bad person, you're just choosing the wrong people to be around, which yes, that is, but at the same time, he's not apologizing for throwing you down the stairs and beating you up. I'm a bit sensitive on that type of thing. I do believe accountability is a thing. There's not all that much, but it is tackled with a nuance. It is tackled with nuance. Ted's brother has a chance of bonding with his little brother properly after their dad passes away. The house becomes... I can relate to the house vibe, actually, because my mum worked night shifts and my dad had a very sensitive job that required him to concentrate very carefully on what he was doing, so the house was put into complete silence as we were growing up. So I do get that vibe and what it does to children growing up in it, and it just messes with us. It really does, in a certain way. And so having Ted grow up in a house, because that is like very quiet, and because his dad is suffering from cancer and he's just terminally ill, and growing up with that is pretty traumatic in itself, and having the family respond in such a way and having to deal with it separately, because the mother is also like going, you need to be strong, I'm trying to raise you to be men, and it's quite toxic masculinity and not positive masculinity, where they are allowed to go, this is hurting, I need help, please help. The things we teach men not to say. And it is tackled pretty well here. It's kind of critiquing that it brilliantly. Like, we teach boys to be silent when they are suffering, and it just swallows you whole when you are left in silence like that, when you are dealing with things that you just do not know how to voice. And then there's Ali's situation. Her dad doesn't want to grow up, so he always ends up having to move from town to town to town because he ends up not paying enough bills, owing people money, keep constant partying to the point where it's very disruptive for her upbringing. And this town is probably the first time she's actually had proper friends in Ted, Yor, and the artist, who doesn't get named until like further on, even what she's gone through. Her dad, his like lifestyle of trying to like always have a good time, he even refuses to let her call him dad but buddy, because he doesn't want that reminder that he's grown up, which reminds me of that Once Upon a Time series of Peter Pan's true identity. Yikes. When boys don't want to grow up. And because he does not want to grow up, he cannot recognize that his lifestyle is not the best for a young girl growing up, because he did not protect her from his friends. Oof, that was a difficult scene. It was quick to go through. It was more hinted at rather than explicit of what happened to her. Yikes. Ugh. So all of these teens have only each other and Yor's mum, because Yor's mum is absolutely amazing, and to the point where she sold her skates that were passed down from her mother just to give Yor a bike for his birthday. And that is just the beautifulest, sweetest thing, because it was pretty much mentioned and hammered home that was her only possession. She doesn't have much, and she gives it up just so she can give Yor his own bike. It was Yor who wants the artist to do this art competition, make a painting, get out of this town, become famous, get out, just get out of here. It is going to swallow you whole if it gets its claws into you. There's even the horrific nature of not wanting to disappoint your friends as well, with the artist thinking he's not good enough. And yikes, that really does hit home when every single artist knows the absolute worst critic is ourselves. And it is very evident in this text. It is very evident in this artist growing up. And I absolutely adored Christian, who is the temporary janitor, who was like the one who set the artist on his journey by, this wall needs to be painted white, but I'm not gonna do that, and invited the artist to paint his own thing on there alongside the dragons and skulls that the janitor Christian had painted as well. And so Christian actually helped this artist come into his own. Christian gave the artist the mother for his mum, basically, and acknowledgement that if he needs anything, he can call her. And that, because she is in the art world, she knows everything. She will quote famous artists, famous poets, and will have connections to get the ball rolling for any young aspiring artist. But he never picks up the phone until, like, I have to say, who breaks into an art gallery with the painting and adds it to the wall? To the point where they're trying to run away from that security guard with the painting, who thinks that painting actually was there in the beginning. And it's like, who brings their own painting to an art gallery? And that whole thing was just so brilliant. The dumb ideas these teens get up to is so funny. It is so wild and wacky that you can only say that these things happened because they are the way they are. Like Ali's singing, for instance, she absolutely adores singing. No, they can't stand it because she's not that good. But because she adores singing so much, she joins the choir. The only way she can join a choir is by wearing the dress code, which for girls is dresses. She puts up with it, and her three rascals see just how uncomfortable this is for her, turn up to that performance wearing dresses just because they are so supportive of her. But oh my god, it is so brilliant. It is so brilliant. I love it. These are the sweetest kids ever, and they are there for each other no matter what. It is brilliant and beautiful. The jokes they come up with are witty and hilarious. That Ali and Yor are constantly like bickering and arguing and getting into fights, but at the end of the day they will do that as a distraction for whatever they're worried about, and it's so like what you would expect from teenagers, but at the same time you love them so damn much. Just some of the shenanigans these kids get up to is downright hilarious. Like that, even Yor's mum is quite funny because she doesn't have a driver's license and she's only been pulled over once of a little bit of a speeding thing, and her response to that was, oh, I was on the way to the hospital, his appendix is inflamed, and so pointing to her child on the back seat, and the policeman just go, okay, go. Yor, during his own driving lesson from his mum, was just like, I remember that. I thought you were joking. It's so brilliant in the moments of comedy in these. But it's also grounded in how we actually respond to each other and how humans are funny, like in the unexpected ways, in the purposeful ways, and in the ways that we are trying to make our best friends laugh just because they need to laugh. And this is actually quite beautiful. I need to complain about it now. So there's this thing that keeps happening, from Louisa running away from a security guard from the art gallery, from the guys that are chasing Louisa and Ted in a car, from the security guard in the gallery that they broke in to see the artist painting on the white wall in a gallery. Yeah, and it just keeps popping up and popping up. I thought it was just from Louisa's. There's a moment where it's from Louisa's point of view, and there's moments in Ted's point of view, and it's just like, I can maybe brush that off to their perspective, but it keeps popping up. So much so that I'm worried it's Backman's thing, because it was kind of suggested a man called Uwe and anxious people, and it's I think it's ageist. Like, when you hit late 30s, you are now old. Fuck no! I hate when people say they are old. It is so dumb. I'm sorry, but no. Stop it. So Louisa is being chased away from a security guard. And it's kind of written off that he's old, I'm young, I'm faster, and it's just like, are you kidding me? So you got this one security guy who hasn't been into fitness. One security guy is not into fitness is fine, but when it happens again and again, and then there's Ted saying when you hit a certain age, you kind of have to start planning how you are going to sit down and also get back up again. Did you know that Ted is 39 years old? I mean, as a 31-year-old, I don't know the experience of a 39-year-old, but I need to start promoting, no, I need to start like maybe calling between 30 and maybe 55-ish, depending on certain things. That is the prime life part of life. Okay, after your prime life, you're old, but it's fine because when you are in your 20s, you're still trying to figure things out. But everyone says after 30s, it's downhill from there, and I have to respectfully disagree because I've figured myself out now. I think I can only go up from here because I know myself and I can improve myself from here. I am fitter than I was back in my 20s because I've put in the work for that. I have fewer heart palpitations because I've put in the work for that. If you do nothing, sure, but it's not an end-all be-all, but like it's being treated as in this book in particular, and it's also being treated as a societal mindset. Shell, you are very guilty of this. Stop calling yourself old. You are in the same year group as me, damn it. But it's just, even the guys who were chasing Louisa and Ted in the car, they were like, have you seen a girl and an old man? The dude is 39, he's not old. So basically, I would like to band together as a 30s-year-old with the 40-year-olds just to like say we are in the prime of our lives. Anybody who disagrees can go. But it's also kind of in Anxious People with the father-son policeman. So we've got the young policeman knows how to type using all of the shortcuts and all of that. And then we've got the older policeman who is his father, pressing each individual key on the keyboard. I'm sorry, but my dad is older than that policeman and he can type better than that. Granted, my dad can't use a touchscreen because of his arthritis in his fingers, but at the same time, he would know if he could. I gave a man called Uwe a pass. Uwe reminds me of like a mixture of my dad and his dad, my granddad. Basically, Uwe is like a mashup, like knows how to do all of the old-fashioned carpentry and all that jazz, which, yeah, my dad also knows how to do, but I associate that with granddad more than I do dad. But Uwe has my dad's grumpiness and aversion to technology, even though my dad is pretty tech savvy in his own way. And it's just like this fact that the older generation don't know how to use tech. I serve a lot of people who know how to use a smartphone, for Christ's sakes, because I even have like the old, like little old ladies come up to me with the smartphone ready to tap, like with their loyalty card on there, and it's just like, people know how technology works at a later stage in life. It's fine. It's just not universal, and putting that in the more than one book is a little frustrating, and I kind of hope Backman doesn't have that in all of his books. Like, this is the third book I've read of his, so maybe not in others, I'm hoping. It's only prevalent in like 2 instances, but in here it just kept popping up in the fitness level of people in their late 30s, and it's just, this is supposed to be modern day, but it's just something that bugged me. All in all, I did enjoy this book. My issue did not detract from my enjoyment of the story. It just agitated me every time it came up. It's just, I will say, there was Christian's mum at the age of 70 going, if you dare ask if I need help across the road, I will end you. It's like, at least we have that. But it's just one instance. She climbs on a roof and dangles her feet off the side. She's sitting on a roof like the other people. It's totally fine. But it just irks me when people, I don't know. It was just something that annoyed me a little bit. But yeah, all in all, this was a really good book. I enjoyed it when it was not ripping my heart out and stabbing it a bunch of times in front of me, then setting it alight and stamping on it on the floor. Yeah, when it hit hard, and it made me laugh out loud so many times, because these are very funny characters, and they are trying to make each other smile, each other laugh. They are trying to bring joy to each other, just so that they don't have to carry their own burdens. And that is beautiful. I don't know if it's my favourite Backman book. I don't think it beat out Anxious People, which is currently my favourite. But it's this actually was the first instance that I realised why I struggle to finish books, because I thought I came to the last chapter. I put the book down and went and did something, and then when I came to the actual last chapter, I did the exact same thing. I put the book down and I went and did something else. Like, I just didn't want it to end. I was just hooked. I didn't want the story to just stop there. I just wanted to keep it going. And I think that's probably why I struggle finishing books, because I like taking my time and I want to be in there forever. I just want to open this book up and just like stay, just keep having, I want pages to keep miraculously appearing at the end. Just keep reading. I don't know why. It just felt like that. It was such a heartwarming end. There was that horrific thing about, we don't know who survived their childhood growing up, and it's just a story taking us through who survived, why. Birds know way more than we let on, and they are willing to do some murder. They are willing to land on a pipe just to tip things in your favour. Oh my god, that little bird. Yeah. My Firends, brilliant. And yeah, I think I'd rate it either 4 stars or 4.5 stars on the scale of 5. I think on Storygraph I did just leave it as a solid 4. Yeah, this was a very good work of fiction critiquing how a town, if you stay there, it can swallow you whole if it's got too many bad influences, and it just takes one instance just to turn things around, like an painting turning up in an art gallery and bringing tourists and trade to bring better life to the town, and how the cycle of artists helping artists keeps spinning and going and rolling and rolling and rolling. And yeah, it is a really good book, and just trying to think of who survives. Also, I think Backman does a lot of cop-outs in this book, but that's just my thoughts on Fredrik Backman's My Firends. It was translated by Neil Smith. The emotional whiplash did continue right through to the end. Anyways, bye, Shell.
And bye to all you other wonderful readers watching.
Bye.